The biggest mistake that many job seekers make is they treat it as a theoretical question and they talk about theory, how they would do that in an imaginative situation. But the question is, tell me about a time when, meaning they want to ask you about something that already happened, something real, not in theory. Hi everyone, I'm Thea from theaho.co, helping skilled migrants and international graduates get jobs and live a better life. Have you ever stumbled on the question, tell me about a time when blah blah blah? I guess at least once. You didn't know how to answer, or after giving your answer, you could see from the interviewer's face that it wasn't a good one. This is one of the most important questions in an interview, and for me it's quite tricky because you need to prepare in advance. It's so hard for you to know it on the spot in the interview. I can say it's very challenging without preparation. That's why I'm going to show you how to prepare for it in today's video. I will give you step by step on how to answer, and you will not stumble on it the next time you get it in the interview, and you will smile with confidence when delivering your answer. Now, when you receive any questions starting with tell me about a time when, you need to tell your stories. So step number one is to prepare your story. The biggest mistake that many job seekers make is they treat it as a theoretical question and they talk about theory, how they would do that in an imaginative situation. But the question is, tell me about a time when, meaning they want to ask you about something that already happened, something real, not in theory, meaning you need to talk about your real stories. If you don't have stories and you talk about theories, you won't be able to convince hiring managers, as they can see that you don't have the experience or the skills that they are looking for. Make sense? So always talk about your stories for this type of question. For example, if they ask you, tell me about a time when you demonstrated your strong communication skills with other stakeholders, you need to talk about your story in which you work with different stakeholders and articulate more specifically how you demonstrated your strong communication skills in a specific project. You shouldn't just talk about theory, such as, I will ensure a clear message to them, deliver in an email and follow up after a few days. It's just theory that any candidates can answer. But hiring managers want to know about your particular experience, how you actually did it, not just some action steps in general. I believe it's clearer to you now, right? Now, what stories you should prepare? They're from the job ad. Now, read the job ad carefully and identify the skills or the experience they require in the job. Then prepare your stories to showcase you've got the skills and apply them in a particular experience in the past. And here's how it works. Sometimes they may ask you about something which is not in the job ad. For example, something about yourself. That's why you should brainstorm all the topics they may potentially ask you in the interview, such as about the position, yourself, the industry, their company, and prepare relevant stories for them. And also get prepared for something negative. For example, they may ask you, tell me about a time you made a serious mistake. You can say that, no, I've never made any mistakes, as it's not true. Everyone makes mistakes, big or small, at least a few times in the professional life. It's not that the interview is out to get you, but they want to know how you handle a situation when you make a mistake and how you've got learnings for not repeating the same mistake. An important tip for you is you should prepare these stories in advance, not just come to the interview unprepared. I know some job seekers don't want to prepare for the stories. They think it's their own stories, and for sure they know what they will talk about. If you're also thinking the same way, you might be wrong. It's an interview, and I'm sure you will feel nervous, a lot or a bit, but you will feel uneasy, at least for the first few questions. It's not a normal conversation with a friend. It's an interview for a job where you will talk to someone you just met for the first time. You won't be able to think of the stories on the spot. Sometimes the stories also require some facts or data that you need to look back on, as they already happened in the past, and you can't tell the interviewer, let me get back to you on that data, because you have only one interview with that interviewer. That's why I strongly recommend you should prepare your stories well in advance so that you will ace the interview and get a job offer. If you haven't already, please click subscribe to my channel, and I will make sure to keep you updated with all the insider strategies about your job search. Now, after you prepare for stories, step number 2 is to follow the star. I'm not talking about any stars in the sky, but I mean the STAR formula. It stands for situation, task, action, results. Why do you need to follow a formula? I don't want to make things complicated by creating a new formula for you and ask you to follow it. But many job seekers may not realize that their answers are not easy to understand, especially when English is not your mother language. And when it's not easy to understand, hiring managers may get you wrong. What they get from your answer may be different from what you actually wanted to say. Moreover, when you can't deliver your message, you can't showcase you've got the skills, the experience they're asking for, or you can't prove that you own the skills and experience. You can't convince them that you're the right match and they should hire you. So my suggestion for you is to always follow the STAR formula. How to do that? First, you talk about the situation or the background of the story, why it happened like that. Then explain your task in that particular situation. What was your role in that story? And next, talk about the actions you did. Remember to be very specific about the particular activities you have done. This is the most important part of your answer, which you should give the most focus on because it is what the interviewer is looking for. Elaborate in more details, such as what you did, why you did it, how you did it, and finally, close your answers with the results you've got in that story. Many candidates forget to talk about their results, which is a big mistake because it's how you can impress the hiring managers, how you can showcase you not only own the skills, but you've got the experience. You also apply your skills and got great results. All the candidates may own the same skills as you, but they may not deliver amazing results. So that's how you can stand out from the crowd, and results are the most convincing evidence to hiring managers. Now you've got to know how to use the STAR formula, but when to use it. You use it whenever they ask anything about the past, anything that already happened, and you've got the story to talk about. Remember, always follow the STAR. It seems obvious, but I have to repeat again and again because job seekers don't use it. Before I move to the next step, please click subscribe to this channel. I will make sure that you are updated with all the latest strategies that you need to land a job. Once you've got your stories ready, you already put them into a clear structure following the STAR formula. Now the next step is to add a strong start or end. Why do you need it? Is the STAR already good enough for you? It has the same reason as I mentioned earlier. Your answers may not be delivered to the hiring manager as correctly as your intention. They may get a different meaning through many details of your story. So if you want to make sure that they don't get you wrong, you should be straightforward and just say it out loud by giving a short summary of your answer at the beginning or the end of your answer. Being clear and straightforward is very important in interviews. It helps you deliver the right message and proves that you've got the strong communication skills. Now, when you put the summary at the beginning, they get your point immediately, and it will be easier to follow your story when you elaborate on it. When you put it at the end of your answer, you let them know that you're going to finish your answer and deliver a clear message out of it. You may not realize, but when I interview some job seekers, they just go on and on with their answer, and suddenly they stop. So I don't know whether they have finished their answers or they are pausing to think more about the answer. So it shows that their communication skill is not very strong. You can keep this summary at the beginning or at the end of your answer, but just keep one. One is good enough. Don't do both and you will repeat yourself unnecessarily. Now, an example for this summary is I can end my answer with this one. Communication at work is about getting the other person to understand my message clearly, and they can take action accordingly. Using different communication methods that I just shared with you helps me work well with different stakeholders and always deliver my projects on time. And that's how I use my effective communication skills in working with stakeholders. Now, when you prepare for interviews, phone interviews and video interviews are two important steps in your interview process. Until now, I still feel that phone interviews, especially unscheduled interviews, are trickier than face-to-face interviews. Do you think so? Let me know in the comments below. And video interviews are getting much more popular, especially after COVID-19. If you want to know how to handle these interviews, check out these two videos right here. I give you lots of useful tips that you can apply right away. So make sure that you check them out after watching this video. Now, I've shared with you the structure of how to answer the most important question in the interview. But how about other questions? Do you know that in order to ace the interview, you should have a strong foundation, which is your resume? What do they ask you the most in interviews? About yourself. If you don't have a strong resume, I'm afraid that you won't ace the interview. To give you a hand to build that strong foundation, I'd like to invite you to my free resume masterclass, 3 Simple Steps to Get Interviews. It's the strategy that helped my clients land their 5 to 6 figure salary full-time jobs in a matter of weeks. So make sure that you don't miss out on this class. The link to join is theaho.co/aceresume. It's also in the first comment of this video. If you have any questions or any comments about this video, let me know in the comments below. I'm checking my comments every single day. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to not missing out on the latest job search strategies for free. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.